The City and The City is a novel by British author China Miéville, combining weird fiction with the police procedural. It was written as a gift for Miéville's terminally ill mother, who was a fan of the latter genre. The novel was published by Macmillan on 15 May 2009. In the US it was published by Rey Books on 26 May 2009. Also in 2009, a signed, limited edition of 500 numbered and 26 lettered copies was published in the US by Subterranean Press. It has won the Locus Award for Best Fantasy Novel, Arthur C. Clarke Award, World Fantasy Award, BSFA Award, and Kitschy's Red Tentacle, tied with Paolo Bacigalupi's The Wind-Up Girl for the 2010 Hugo Award for Best Novel, and been nominated for a Nebula Award and John W. Campbell Memorial Award for Best Science Fiction Novel. Synopsis: Inspector Theodore Bourlou, of the Extreme Crime Squad in the European city-state of Basel, investigates the murder of Mahalia Giri, a foreign student found dead with her face disfigured in a Basel street. He soon learns that Giri had been involved in the political and cultural turmoil involving Basel and its twin city of Aloma. His investigations start in his home city of Basel, lead him to Aloma to assist the Aloman police in the work, and eventually result in an examination of the legend of Orsini, a rumored third city existing in the spaces between Basel and Aloma. Setting: The City and The City takes place in the cities of Basel and Aloma. The precise location of these cities is not described. However, various references in the book indicate that the cities are perhaps in the coastal Black Sea region of south-central Europe. BES smugglers traffic in goods from Varna, Bulgaria and Bucharest, Romania. Protagonist Theodore Bourlou enjoys his coffee in the Turkish style. These two cities actually occupy much of the same geographical space, but via the volition of the citizens, they are perceived as two different cities. A denizen of one city must dutifully unsee the denizen's buildings and events taking place in the other city, even if they are an inch away. This separation is emphasized by the style of clothing, architecture, gait, and the way denizens of each city generally carry themselves. Residents of the cities are taught from childhood to recognize things belonging to the other city without actually seeing them. Ignoring the separation, even by accident, is called breaching, a terrible crime by the citizens of the two cities, even worse than murder. The origin of this odd situation is unclear, as it started at an uncertain time in the past, perhaps before recorded European history. Residents of the cities speak different languages that use distinct alphabets, but that nonetheless have a common root and share a degree of mutual intelligibility. The twin cities are composed of crosshatched, alter, and total areas. Total areas are entirely in one city, the city in which the observer currently resides. Alter areas are completely in the other city, and so must be completely avoided and ignored. Between these are areas of crosshatch. These might be streets, parks, or squares where denizens of both cities walk alongside one another, albeit unseen. Areas that exist in both cities usually go under different names in each one. There is also Copula Hall, one of the very few buildings which exists in both cities under the same name. Rather than being crosshatched, it essentially functions as a border. It is the only way in which one can legally and officially pass from one city to another. Passing through the border passage takes travelers geographically to the exact place they started from, only in a different city. From a physical standpoint, little differentiates the two cities, other than slight differences of architecture, vehicles and styles of dress which citizens and visitors are trained to recognize. Those who do not know about the separation might naturally view the two cities as one. Because of this, an extra power is needed to keep the separation in place. This organization is known as breach. When a breach takes place, breach comes to take care of it. Members of the breach organization use the powers to take the breacher captive and bring them to an unknown punishment. Breachers, as they are called, disappear and are never seen again. Children and tourists, however, are treated more leniently. Children may be forgiven for a small breach. If tourists breach, they are bundled out and banned from both cities forever. Most breaches are taken care of by breach immediately, but its surveillance capabilities are not absolute. Sometimes, breach must be specifically invoked to investigate a crime that seems to be a clear-cut case of breach, such as a smuggling operation that involves breaching to transport the smuggled goods from one city to the other. To invoke breach, the police must present their evidence to an oversight committee composed of 42 members, 21 from each city. If the evidence presented is convincing enough, the committee performs whatever other investigation into the matter it deems appropriate to resolve any remaining doubts its members have. If its investigation concludes to its satisfaction that a breach has taken place, then and only then will it invoke breach. Invoking breach is a last resort because it is an alien power to which some consider that Basil and Ulama surrender the sovereignty at their peril. Reception. Reviewing the book for The Guardian, Michael Moorcock concludes, Andrew McKee reviewed the book for The Spectator and suggested, in September 2010, the novel won the 2010 Hugo Award for Best Novel, tied with Paolo Bassiglupi's The Wind-Up Girl. In April 2010, it won the BSFA Award for Best Novel of 2009, as well as the 2010 Arthur C. Clarke Award. In October 2010, the novel won the World Fantasy Award for Best Novel, and in January 2010 it obtained the 2009 Kitschy's Red Tentacle. In 2011, the German translation Die Stadt und Die Stadt won the Kurt Laswitz Prize. Adaptations. The City and The City was adapted into a play by Christopher M. Walsh. The show premiered at Lifeline Theatre of Chicago in February 2013. It was Jeff recommended. It was announced in late August 2015 that British TV channel BBC Two had ordered an adaptation of the novel. It is still unclear when this will air.